As we continue our coverage of the 2024 election season, several state house seats are up for grabs, including House District 98, covering parts of Dorchester County, held by Republican incumbent Chris Murphy for the last 14 years. Well, here to share why she's running against the attorney is Dr. Sonja Ogletree Satani, Democratic nominee for State House 98. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
All right, so you're a veteran of the Air Force, you're a businesswoman. What do you bring to the table? Why do you think people should vote differently this time around?
Well, first of all, I bring a fresh perspective. And Chris has been in there for over 14 years. And one of the things that we have to make sure that we are protecting the safety of our communities, our family, and especially our children. So recently, he had voted for open carry. What does that mean? Now 18-year-olds have access to guns. And we need to make sure that we have gun education as well as common sense. So we need to make sure that we are educating individuals. Now, as an Air Force veteran, I definitely respect the Second Amendment rights and our Constitution rights to bear arms. But again, we have to have the education in order to make sure that we are creating safety measures for our constituents.
So some common sense laws.
Exactly.
Speaking of education, South Carolina ranks 43 out of all 50 states. We're near the very, very bottom. We're scraping the bottom practically. What would you do differently in our school system to get those ranks higher, to see those grades go higher, and to see children performing better in school? In the classroom?
Sure. Well, I'm also an educator as well. So I've taught in both public and private school. I currently teach at ECPI University. So I see a lot of the students from South Carolina come in, and some of them can't pass the reading comprehension test, the math test. So it starts early. We have to be able to do it from the early pre-K, so that way they'll be ready. I also completed my student teaching in Japan. So I'm bringing that perspective in terms of how we can push ourselves ahead, but we have to be able to work with our teachers. I know they recently passed for an increase. It's something, but we've got to do something better to support our teachers and educators, but also it's a community activity to make sure that the kids have the knowledge and tools at home, but also for those parents who might be struggling and may not be able to help with homework, that we can provide options and opportunities for them to be able to grow as well.
Very good. And how about the economy? Because the economy is number one. Every candidate that I've sat down with, we've talked about it. How do we improve things? Because we're drowning in inflation, even though things have changed and improved a little bit. But let's not forget those. We're not seeing the rollbacks on prices for things. And we're spending a lot more of our money, a lot more of our savings. Credit card debt is through the roof. What do we do here in the Low Country to improve the quality of life in terms of whether it be wages, the cost of living? It's one of the most expensive places to live.
Definitely. All of those play a role. And it starts with education. So when we're able to increase our knowledge and skill set, we're able to increase our workforce. When we're able to expand opportunities in colleges and have our students to come back into the workforce, then they're able to get a career and not just a job. So having that career is definitely going to help with the wages, but we've got to be able to raise minimum wage because especially making sure that we have affordable housing is also important, and $7 is not enough.
How do we do that, though, without creating a strain on businesses? Because it's those small businesses, and as you know, this country is built on small businesses. It is almost untenable for people to pay any more than they currently are for their employees because their costs have gotten so high. That gets passed on to the consumer who will no longer patronize those businesses because they can't afford it. So where do we find the balance? What do we do?
Right, and I'm also a business owner as well, small business owner. And we definitely have to make sure that we have these policies in place to be able to support small business owners, and especially making sure that there's capital. So I know that they've introduced Project 2025. So with small businesses, minority-owned businesses, they're taking away a lot of those opportunities in order to make sure that communities are thriving, small businesses are thriving. So it all plays full circle in terms of from our education to our health care, how we make decisions, and we should have the ability to make our own decisions when it comes to healthcare without government getting involved. And again, it ties back into how we're able to work to maintain the jobs as well as supporting those small businesses. So everything comes full circle.
Well, anybody who wants to support you, we're going to put your information up on the screen. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure you need volunteers and other help as well.
Yes.
So there's opportunities for those to get involved. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
We're back after this.